Okay, what's bringing you in here today?
Well, I'm having problems with my wife. We've been married about a year, and we didn't live together until we got married.
Okay.
And she doesn't like some of my habits, and has basically, she gets frustrated with me, and she said that, if I don't come in and get help with some of them, she's gonna leave me. And so, I don't really think I have much in the way of problems, but she gets all bent out of shape about certain things, and so she sort of wants me to get some help.
Okay, it sounds like you don't feel like you have a problem, but your wife.
Not really. I mean, there's things I can see why she gets a little frustrated at times. We all have differences, but she knew a lot about me beforehand, and it didn't. And in some ways, those things were things she liked. But now that we're living together, they seem to get on her nerves. And
What kind of thing that she doesn't like you do?
She thinks I get really, I spend too much time taking care of the house, and I'm really particular about, especially the kitchen and the bathroom and the bed, and keeping them clean, and she sort of doesn't like that sometimes it takes me a long time, and I sometimes we're late for something, or I forget something and we have to go back and get it, and then it gets delayed. So it's just a lot of little things like that seem to really sort of nag at her, and she just, I don't know why she doesn't understand.
Okay, so she doesn't like you, focus on the house, cleaning too much?
Yeah, I mean, when we were dating, she thought she really liked that I kept a nice clean house, and that I was very particular about my cooking, and I kept the kitchen really nice and my knives sharp, and was really sort of wanted to have everything done well, and that she also appreciated that too, and a lot of the guys she dated were slobs, and so that was sort of refreshing to her. But now everything seems to, and I don't know whether it's that or there's another problem there, that this is just her excuse for getting angry at me, but she won't say there's anything else, but that's what she seems to get frustrated with, and I get frustrated with her back, and we sometimes get into arguments.
Okay. So it seems like the concerning here is like you always keep everything clean and neat, and she doesn't like you spend so much time on that. Okay, so how long does it take you to make everything neat and clean?
Well, it depends. It depends on if she's been, sometimes she'll get in there and cook, or make breakfast before. She gets up sometimes before me, and she'll get in there and she'll leave dishes, and I'll get sort of frustrated with her, and so I've started trying to get up earlier so that I can cook breakfast and keep everything clean as I go along. But so if she makes a mess in there, it can, it sometimes takes an hour or a little bit longer, and in the morning, usually, I don't like the germs, especially, the idea that it's unsanitary, because, I actually have training in the biological science, so I know what's there, and how it can get you sick and things like that, and so I don't want,
Okay.
there's just a right way to do things.
So it sounds like you doesn't want her to mess up the kitchens.
Yeah, well, and I don't want us to get sick. I mean, that's, the keeping things sanitary and where they're supposed to be, so that, you don't use the cutting board for the meat for the vegetables, and you have to have a, you don't mix the knife because you can get the contamination from the, and people die over this stuff.
Okay, so you want to keep everything organized to avoid germs, right?
Yeah, and clean and sort of sanitary.
Okay, so I just want to know, like, how long since you want everything clean? Since
Well, I sort of went through phases. I've always been I had to do the cooking. My mom died when I was younger, and I had to take over for some of the housework. My dad worked a lot, and so I did that. And my mom was always very neat and clean, and so it was important to me to sort of keep up with that. And then, but I haven't. There have been times when I went away to college, I sort of was a slob and didn't, and that was sort of, sort of refreshing to not be the one responsible for the house and everything. But, eventually, especially as I studied biology in college, and then I work in a medical lab where we do testing, diagnostic testing, and, I know a lot about what's in there, and so after that sort of, I don't know, I want a teenage or college sort of, I got, I started getting more worried about it. I'm more concerned now that I have a wife and I don't want her to get sick. It's not just about me anymore, and so I probably clean more than I did just since we got married, because of the fact that there are now two of us and I'm responsible for that.
okay, so it sounds like you did have experience in college about learning about biology and germ. That's why.
Yeah, and I've been working in, we process, somebody gets a test done at a doctor's office and they send it to our lab, and I've done, did the undergrad work, and then I went on about a master's in laboratory sciences through the University of Iowa, and now I sort of run my own lab. We have a doctor that's in charge of doing the actual diagnosis, but I'm in charge of my lab, and there are different labs in the business. And so, I'm both, I know a lot about that, and she doesn't, and she doesn't understand, how that can, and then, you need to keep things sanitary at the lab, and clean, and everything has to be in its place, and so that needs to be.
It seemed like you feel a bit frustrated. She doesn't understand that you want everything clean, just for your health, right?
Yeah, well, for her health too. I don't want anything to happen to her. That would be, she's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Okay.
I'm responsible for her and taking care of her.
So it seemed like I heard you say you work in a lab. So can you tell me more about your education?
Yeah, I did. Went to UNI and did my undergrad degree and got a BS in biology, and then started working in the lab when I graduated, and I really liked it. And so after about 3 or 4 years, I decided to go back for a master's. And they don't have a program at UNI, so I looked around, and they have one that's connected to the medical school in Iowa. And so I got a master's degree, and that allows me now to I can move up and be in charge and run the lab rather than just be one of the people that does the testing. I oversee other people.
So you're currently working on your master?
No, I got my master's, yeah. So now I'm in charge. That's why I got the promotion, so that I can be in charge of my
So you work in UNI or you work outside?
No. I work in Cedar Rapids in a lab that specializes in. So we serve various facilities that send us their pathology.
Okay. I just want to know, do you have any medical issues in the past?
No, nothing, notable. Fairly normal. Have no major health concerns.
Do you have problems going to see the doctor?
No, they're always careful. I wouldn't go to see a doctor that didn't take care of, make sure they were washing their hands. And
I mean,
stuff
like,
that.
when you go, see a lot of patients outside of the doctor office, do you feel uncomfortable at all?
Well, I don't see patients. I only get my lab just processes the
Like, I
test.
mean, when you go to see a doctor, do you feel uncomfortable seeing other people sick around you?
No, not so much. No.
Not so much. So it just happens in the house, right?
Yeah, because I can always, I'm careful. I make sure, I wash my hands after I go to the doctor a couple times so that I don't get if somebody's been sick. And, I stay away from just common sense. I'm not going to go up and shake hands with somebody that's coughing. So,
So it's just, ever since you had experience in the lab, that's when you started, making sure everything's clean and neat.
yeah. I think, I've always been not always. I always had that time in college, but I was, that it's important to keep things clean. And now that we have our house together and that, that it's my space, and I sort of, it's something that I take care of, and I'm, and it's another life now. It's, that, we want to have kids at some point, and it's even more lives, and we don't want anybody,
Okay, so it seemed like ever since you start moving in with your wife, that's when you have these rules. You want the kitchen to be clean, neat, and it's your space.
Yeah, I think we just have more arguments over it. Maybe, I don't know, I wasn't really, but, when it was when before that, it wasn't as important because it was me, but, it's, it's now that it's both of us, I don't want to have her get sick and lose her because she can,
Do you have history of seeing a counseling before about this problem?
No, I don't really think I have a problem. I just want to keep everybody, it's people, there's some people that are slobs, but you keep stuff clean.
What about, tell me about your friends. Do you have a lot of friends?
I have a few through work, and some of the people that I got close to when I was in school, both my undergrad, and we keep in touch. And I don't do as much with them now that I'm married. That sort of happens. Your life changes, and you reorient to your girlfriend and then your wife. And so we still email and chat. And every once in a while we get together. But,
When you hang out with your friend, does it bother you if they don't wash their hands, or if you think the food is not clean or something in the kitchens?
Yeah, I worry about that, but I usually don't eat out all that much. I might have a drink with them or something like that, but I don't tend to eat food that somebody else cooked. I tend to like to cook my own food.
Okay, it seems like you feel more safe if you the one who cook your own food.
Well, yeah, most people don't, they don't have the setup where they sort of keep things, it has to, this goes here and this goes here, and you never want them touching, because then they can get contaminated and stuff.
Okay. Do you use any drug at all?
No.
How about drinking coffee or tea?
A little bit of coffee, but nothing, a cup, or, it's usually sort of more social.
It sounds like you talk about, in the past after your mom passed away, you starting to do, everything yourself. So tell me a little bit more your background,
Okay.
like your culture, ethnicity, stuff like that.
Well, I'm white and middle class, and my mom was able to. My dad works a lot, and he's pretty successful at his business, and he's moved up in the ranks and management and things like that. So we have a comfortable life, and it allowed my mom. So she was a stay-at-home mom. She was a nurse originally, and then when I was born. She stopped working and became a stay-at-home full-time mom, and so that was sort of her world, and raising us, and raising me, and my dad, and taking care of my dad, and making sure everything was, around the home was run well, and things like that.
Okay. So does your mom also really strict with everything's neat and clean?
She always kept a really clean house. I mean, and prided herself on, she's sort of that German housewife that, sort of everything is sort of done properly and cleaned. And I don't know if you know the type, but it's just sort of that she would make sure that our sheets were bleached and white and proper and things like that, just the way, she thought they were supposed to be. And she really, she always made nice meals and tried to make sure that my dad was happy, and that, we always, had a nice, respectable house and things like that.
It sounds like you have a good relationship with your parents.
Well, I mean, my mom died, so that was sort of, that. But my dad's sort of distant. I don't really see him much when I was growing up because he was always working. And then whenever my mom died, and he was working, and I had to then take over a lot of the stuff around the house.
Okay.
So I did a lot of. He had to do some grocery shopping, but I did a lot of the cooking and cleaning and the housework type of stuff, just because there was nobody. I mean, occasionally he would hire somebody, but they never really quite did it always right. So.
What age does your mom pass away?
I was 11.
11. So you sound like you does have the responsibility from your mom that you have to.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of had to take her role, and my dad was busy, and I wanted him to be, to sort of. He would always say that, sort of I was my mom would be proud of me, and sort of that, because she would respect the job that I did. And so, I did that until college, and then when I went away to college, it was sort of like I could sort of relax and just sort of not have to worry about that. I lived in a dorm, and that was sort of fun for a little while. That was,
Do you have any problem, like any feelings when your mom passed away?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was sad, but I got so busy that I didn't really have to, I didn't have time to really, there was a lot of stuff to take care of, and my dad was sort of expecting that, things would be the way they were.
Okay, so you take over your mom role, take care of the family.
Yeah, I mean, my dad took care of the money side, he was,
Mm-hmm.
made sure that, we,
Okay. Do you feel depressed or just frustrations?
Oh, I don't know. I sometimes just frustrated, I guess. I mean, I'm a little worried that, my wife is threatening me that somehow that she can't live with me.
So that frustration is,
Yeah, and the idea of losing her is sort of
Mhm.
sad and scary, and I don't want to lose her. She's,
Do you have any thoughts of hurting yourself or anybody
oh,
else?
no. I mean, that's why I keep everything clean, is so that nobody gets.
Okay.
I want to keep my wife safe.
So no suicide.
No.
Well, it sounds like your symptom, it's really a little bit common to people. Just the fear and the problem that you have with your wife. Just try everything neat and keep everything neat. It's probably not a big problem to treat. So I could help you with that, and we can try to work together and slowly let your wife understand what problem you have, but it's not an uncommon to treat. Okay, so do you have any concerns or any?
Well, you think I have a problem? It's not her problem that has a problem.
Well, not necessarily a problem. It's just, you have these fears because of your wife kind of threatened you, but maybe you feel like she doesn't understand you.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why she's that way, but
But we can try to work together and let your wife understand what you're doing is best for her and you. So we definitely can do that. Work together for that. So are you okay to stop today and
Sure,
see
yeah.
the next sessions?
yeah.
Right. Thank you. Okay. I think